Welcome back, everybody. Chef Sawyer reporting live from my kitchen. I have another great video to bring you guys this week. Pop quiz. Who knows what this is? That's right, it's a spaghetti squash. This is an amazing vegetable. It's not expensive. It's not super common, but it's delicious and it's easy to cook, and I'm gonna show you guys how. As you can see, I have just 5 ingredients here. My spaghetti squash, some Pecorino Romano, some pepper, a couple eggs, and a little bacon. So a carbonara is a popular Italian pasta dish consisting of a thick, creamy sauce made of eggs and egg yolks and some Pecorino Romano or Parmesan cheese grated inside. And I would like to remove the pasta, take away that, and replace it with some spaghetti squash. And we're gonna make the same sauce with the same techniques and see how it comes out. Let's get started. All right, first up, I have my spaghetti squash. I washed it, I dried it, and now it's time to prepare it for cooking. It is a little difficult to cut. However you guys feel safe getting this in half, I like to make sure I have 2 flat surfaces to work on. So I like a nice thick chef's knife to get the task done, and I keep my second hand on top, and I push as I gently rock it and wiggle. And with my second hand on top, I feel safe that I won't cut myself. And boom, there we go. Spaghetti squash is open. All of these guts and seeds, we gotta get that out of there. This is not part of the flesh. You don't really wanna eat this part. So take a spoon and you're gonna have to scrape pretty hard to get it out of there. And I just put it into a little bowl or straight into the trash can. If you guys wanna be growing some spaghetti squashes in the next year, go ahead and toss these in your garden or your compost pile. This scooped out half looks perfect. We're just gonna go ahead and move on to the next one. I have my spaghetti squash. I just hit it with a little bit of olive oil drizzle, and then I put it on a baking sheet. And now this is gonna go into a 375-degree Fahrenheit oven for about 15 to 20 minutes. So traditionally, a good, authentic carbonara is made with guanciale, which is basically cured pork cheek. And if you can't get guanciale because it's kind of hard to get and it's very expensive, then most people will use pancetta. But if you don't have pancetta, we use bacon. We are just gonna cut our bacon into strips. I have about 5 pieces right here. And pancetta, bacon, and guanciale are all very similar products. They're all cured pork in some sort of way. The pancetta and the bacon are both pork belly, so these are very similar products. I'm starting off my diced bacon in a cold pan on a medium to low heat. This will give it time to render off the fat more and get crispier. All right, guys, it's time for the most fun part of the video. I got my Pecorino Romano. I have my microplane, and it's time to break my wrist because I need ounces and ounces of finely grated cheese. You can buy this pre-grated if you care about yourself or your wrist health, or if you're delusional or you just like good food, you can do it this way. Ladies and gentlemen, the reason why I use the microplane instead of a box grater, the finer the cheese, the better in this scenario, because we have to melt it. So if you have large chunks of cheese, that might take a little longer to melt, and in that time, your egg could overcook. All right, it's time to break your eggs into a bowl, just like that. We're just gonna want 1 extra yolk for some added creaminess. Into our eggs, we're gonna add a generous amount of coarsely grated, fresh ground black pepper. Actually, I got a little mixture of peppercorns in there, but black pepper is one of the primary flavors of a good carbonara. So boom, we got our eggs with the extra yolk. We got our pepper blend. And boom, here comes all of our Pecorino Romano in with the eggs. And now we are going to beat this all together until we have some sort of creamy egg mixture. Creamy, cheesy egg mixture here. Here's our egg and cheese mixture. It definitely looks a little strange right now, but this is exactly how it's supposed to be. And what we're gonna do is take it and toss it with the hot bacon and with the hot spaghetti, or the hot spaghetti squash in this case, and it will melt the cheese and emulsify the egg into a creamy sauce. Here's our spaghetti squash. It's been roasting in the oven for maybe 20 or 30 minutes. And here's why it's called spaghetti squash, because when you take your fork and you gently flake it, look at how it comes out in all these beautiful little strands. Just like spaghetti. Can you believe that? This is an excellent low-carb, gluten-free alternative. And boom, just like that, we have a ton of spaghetti. So I will go ahead and flake all of this off and put it into a bowl. I have my crispy, crunchy bacon in the pan. I have all of my spaghetti squash in this bowl. You can see how it really flakes apart into these beautiful thin little strands of squash. And I also have my cheese and my egg mixture on standby. You have to do this when everything is hot. So into our bacon and our bacon grease, we toss the spaghetti squash. And now we will turn the heat off because it's time to add our cheesy egg mixture, and you do not want to scramble the eggs. All you want to do is cook the eggs and melt the cheese with the residual heat of the pan and of the squash. So keep mixing it up, the bacon, the pasta, the cheese, and just let everything come together. This looks proper. I can see there's a nice creaminess to it, even though we added no cream and almost no liquid. I'm just gonna go ahead and check for seasoning. We added no salt because the bacon and the cheese are both salty, but that's why I'm just checking here for the seasoning. So I do notice that we need a little bit of salt at first. You always add that later, not before. And just like that, our spaghetti squash carbonara is done. Let's go ahead and plate up and see how it tastes. I have my beautiful spaghetti squash carbonara, and the garnish, just a little bit of freshly cracked black pepper and just a little beautiful grating of our Pecorino Romano on top. And boom, that's all she wrote. Well, let me tell you what, it looks great. I couldn't have envisioned it any better, but does it taste good? That's the question. Get a little bacon, get a little cheese. Oh my God, that was excellent. I promise you guys, this was delicious. Just using some simple techniques and 5 ingredients and a vegetable that's rather cheap. I cannot believe how good this recipe turned out, and I'm gonna be sure to make it again many times in the future. It's everything that you'd expect it to be. Cheesy, bacony, creamy, crunchy. The spaghetti squash provides just some sort of excellent texture to the dish. This is so good, you guys are not gonna believe it, and that's why you have to make it, to see it, to taste it, to believe it. So thanks for coming back week after week to support Chef Sawyer. I'll see you back next week. Ciao.